And welcome into a whole new everything. We've got a new year, we've got a new location geographically, we've got a new home, and we've got a bunch of astrology that we need to talk about today as well. Welcome in. This is the Fun Astrology Podcast. I'm Thomas Miller. Thanks for joining us. Those of you who follow us on a regular basis know that I've been in the process of transitioning from living up in North Carolina to a Sprinter van, and this is coming to you from the van. So how are we doing so far? Pretty good, huh? Not bad? Well, yes, and I'm located in Central Florida at the moment, and we'll be in this area for a little while, and then who knows where the wind will blow after that. I have an audio book that I needed to record for Fred Dodson, so we're going to get that out of the way. I'm in the van now recording in the early morning hours, but as we get some other opportunities and get some nice nature sounds. I'm in a campground right now, just a nice RV park. Had to kind of do this so I could take everything out to put it all back in. That's how I spent New Year's Day, was repacking, unpacking, and repacking. But we'll get some nature sounds in here from time to time as well. Now, we've got to make tracks today because we have a lot to talk about. So we'll talk more about the whole van tour thing later. Right now, one other announcement real quick. The 101 course, the Astrology 101 course, changes price tonight. We're going to keep it where it is until one of Brittany or I go to bed tonight. She's on an earlier time zone, so maybe we'll leave it to her and keep it up there at the current price for a wee couple of hours more. But it will change price to the full price tonight. So if you'd like to jump in on the 101 course, would love to have you at any price, but it will change tonight. Now, a couple of things going on in the sky. First of all, I want to step back into last month, and I'm going to take a running sequential start at this, okay? So let's fasten our seatbelts or saddle up your horses. So on December 29th, we're going to start this sequence with an important event. Mercury went into its pre-shadow period at 24 degrees, 23 minutes Capricorn. It turns retrograde on January 14th. So that's one. The next thing is Mercury moved from Capricorn into Aquarius yesterday morning, wee early hours. I was just up past it. It happened at 2:09 a.m. I was so tired after everything I did on New Year's Day that I went to bed really early, and that always means mark it off about 5.5, 6 hours later. Here we go. Well, I knew it was going to be an early morning, and it was. So I got to almost see it, not quite. But Mercury is now in Aquarius. The Sun joins Mercury there on the 19th, and of course we'll talk more about Aquarius. But remember, kind of the number one overshadowing rebel characteristic of Aquarius is, what's the mantra? Don't tell me what to do. Well, now Mercury's in there. How's that going to work for you? So you Aquarians need to really be aware of that. And when Mercury goes into retrograde especially, because it will be backtracking mercurial issues, especially for you Aquarians, for most of this month and next. Mercury will not clear its shadow period all the way until February 24th. So that's a big piece of what's going on right now. And don't miss that subtle energy of Mercury in the shadow. Another one that we'll back into, and yes, I'm getting to Jupiter in Pisces. We shall never forget that this month for sure, for this whole year. But there are a lot of blocks that we have to keep in context for the month of January, and that's what we're laying here. And the other is Venus being in retrograde, which it is until the 29th of this month, but it doesn't get out of its shadow until March 1st. So we have Mercury moving toward retrograde, then in retrograde, and then moving out of retrograde all the way until February 24th. Venus is in retrograde. It will be there until the end of the month, and then it won't be clear until March 1st. You're wondering, when is the next retrograde? Well, that actually is also a January event, and that would be Pluto. Pluto begins its shadow period this Thursday, the 6th. Pluto being the tortoise and the hare race, Mercury probably being the hare, Pluto will take all the way until April 29th, all the way until the end of April. But yes, as of Thursday, Pluto starts to slow down to go retrograde. Big deal. Now, for the sake of time, we'll maybe pick this up later, but you could spend a whole lot of discussion right there on just that. And then we have the two big overshadowing slow mover theme builders that are going on. Jupiter is now in Pisces, and then we had, of course, on December 24th, the third of the consecutive Saturn-Uranus squares. Now, what happens today in the sky? Well, Jupiter is at the bending of the nodes. It's at a 90-degree square aspect to the nodes of the moon. And that is, by the way, and we're going to have to be clarifying this, the true node aspect. That's the true nodal aspect. I do keep my chart in the mean node, as I mentioned last week, but that's for interpretive purposes. And if we're looking at kind of what we do, we need to also consider the true nodes of the moon, because if you cast a chart on astro.com or astroseek.com or one of those sites, you're going to most likely get a true node chart unless you change the settings. So how would we play that Jupiter squaring the nodes? Well, just very briefly, on the south node side of the equation, I would be looking at exaggerations of that karma. And if you've been doing your nodal work and know exactly what kind of your path is, then I would expect perhaps some enlargement of the shadow. And then on the north node side of things, so where we're moving toward, what we're stepping into, what we should always have in our consciousness of this is the way that I should go, even though it's more difficult, would be something around what is one area of resistance, because there's that square, right? It's that Jupiter is saying, I am ready to bless you, but you have to give up X. It's that area of resistance that you don't want to let go of. That's a real quick read on that, but definitely a way that you could at least start meditating on it and thinking about it. And I would camp right there basically today. Jupiter and the nodes is something that would be worth a journal page for sure. And before we jump out of here, the moon this afternoon moves into Aquarius. So we've got all of a sudden some interesting Aquarian energy that's going to be present with us over the next couple of days. If you're sensitive to the moon changes and you're sensitive to when it changes signs, then we've got Mercury and now the moon in Aquarius. So here's something to practice, all of us, myself included, and I will be doing it. Thou shalt not tell anyone else what to do for the next 48 hours. Just try it on. It's hard to do. Think about sending a text or an email where you don't tell somebody what to do. It's a difficult thing to do, but give it a try. Perfect little window to maybe reprogram suggestion instead of command. I've been working on that. I really have. I've got a little mirror that's helping me with it, and I'm been working on that. It's an interesting process, especially when you came up in a fundamentalist Baptist environment. But we're not going there. Have a great day. Happy New Year to everybody. We are back on track. We are doing it from the RV, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Have a great day.